When I was a kid, I was very worried about the destruction of life on Earth. I have great love for all these little newts and such. Very worried about their plight. And I was aware that everything I do has an impact on that. And as many of you know, my first memory of this was when I was 4 in the kitchen. My mother's making dinner. She listened to NPR. I heard some story about the destruction of life on the planet. And I went up to her and said, "We have to stop them." And she said something that I have heard then thousands of times, millions of times perhaps by now. She said, "Yeah." And she went back to cooking. It was very good of her to cook, I appreciate. She made me my dinner. Wonderful mother, very caring. She did a lot of work, more than most people I know in terms of actually stopping this from happening. My father did enormous amounts of work. He's a legend in stopping the destruction of life on Earth. And yet, well, partially because they gave me the confidence through the lives they lived that I could do better. I heard the yeah, and I said, no, that's the wrong answer. I'm not looking for a yeah. I'm looking for a now we do this. When I was 12, you've heard the story, I just fell back into the snow one day, and when I got up, I could see I am this world. That sense of separation was one of the main components of this problem. One of the main reasons that I have been participating in the destruction of life for so long. Because I was confused. Now, if you're a logical person, you can explain how there isn't separation. It's obviously stupid to say that there's separation. That's just logic, though. You also have to get to the point when you can accept that. And that's what happened at that time. And for me, and after that, while you do have the great joy of connection with all beings, you also have the grief of feeling yourself, your brothers, your sisters, your family, being killed all the time. All the time. Not ending. You don't get to go to sleep and take a break. Any more than if you're in a household of, maybe you have a big family, 10 people, and there's someone living there who slowly tortures and kills your family members and they're screaming all the time. How well would you sleep? So that's the situation that we're in. And it's because of that when I went to college, I studied environmental science and also economics. I studied economics because I could see it is the economy that is the most damaging thing. Yes, war is bad. War is destructive, but the economy is more destructive. Economic growth is worse than the world wars. So I'd go around and talk to lots of people. Until finally the day came, because I knew I need an actual teacher, I need someone who can guide me, that I found a certain Buddhist master and met him and brought it up and looked in his eyes as I had, and for the first time I met someone who is not at all afraid of dying, who's not at all afraid of everyone he loves dying. And in his case, that's everyone, because he has that level of compassion. That is what is needed. The complete transcendence of life and death for all beings. That's what we're talking about. And so I was very encouraged by this. I was very grateful to finally meet someone who could guide me, who could correct me, who could steal from me the certainty that I had. I haven't ever been as grateful for anything in my life as that. Therefore, we see that this is what must be done. This is the challenge. We have the answer. We've had it for thousands of years. And we see that those communities that understand that answer are the only communities in the history of the world that have successfully resisted the continuing increase in intelligence as a basis of destruction for life on Earth. You see monasteries, they don't have to be Buddhist necessarily, but monasteries have successfully resisted this. And beyond that, not only have they remained harmless, I mean, it seems obvious. You say, if everyone on Earth lived the way Buddhist monks do, we wouldn't have any of the major problems we have. And it seems trivial to say. This is not trivial. We have the answer. They're the happiest people on Earth, the healthiest people on Earth. They live the most meaningful lives on Earth, and they don't cause harm to the Earth. We have thousands of years of evidence for this. It's not a secret, and yet we say, well, yeah, but here we say, this is it. We have the answer. We have had the answer. Those cultures where these traditions in which this has been understood and actually practiced by large numbers of people, those cultures have themselves been able to resist this tendency to destroy life on Earth better than any others. We have this. And I was extremely encouraged to discover, wow, we have the answer. I don't have to come up with the answer. I have to realize the answer. And I'm up for that. Let's do this. But I can be guided in doing that. Having seen that, then the question arises. And again, I went to the same teacher and said, I'm in. You convinced me. This is it. You're right. This is the answer. I'm in. Yes, absolutely. But you have not scaled this. And they've been scaling destruction of life really successfully. And you and no one has ever scaled this in the way that's needed right now. So let's get to work. It's great. You have the answer. You have the answer I was looking for when I talked to my mother that day. But it hasn't worked. So what do we do? And he was very kind. He said, I stay here. And those who wish to realize this mind, come and train under me, and I share it. And I said, I need to do more than that. And he said, if you say that, then it's your responsibility to do it. And so this place is about discovering some way, if it can be done, to scale that. Because it is far better to distribute a small amount of medicine than a large amount of disease, of poison. And this point is very hard for people to see, especially if they don't have deep courage. Because we know how to distribute poison. It's very difficult to distribute the antidote. Very difficult to distribute the solution, we know. And so what they do again and again, they say, well, I don't have the actual solution, but even though this would never work, I know at least how to distribute it. And so I'll just do that and hope somehow for some reason it works out in the end. And then it doesn't, and we end up where we are right now. As you all know, I really considered becoming a general. And I really considered becoming an entrepreneur. And I concluded that actually neither of those provide you with the freedom to change history. They provide you with the power to forward history. You can be the one who gets put in the book. But who cares? The only people who actually set the direction of history are the religious leaders.